Malinski, the Prosperity Priestess here, and last time we talked about sleep and doing things that other people aren't necessarily willing to do to be successful. Today the topic is television. Now, I did a quick Google search and found out that the average North American watches between 27 and 35 hours of television a week. That's 3 to 4 hours of television a day. People spend most of their leisure time watching television. And honestly, it is really not that healthy for you. My husband and I haven't had cable television for probably about 15 years. When we moved to the house we're living in now, we didn't have any television reception at all. And so several years ago now, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, we got rid of the television completely. Now, I'm not saying that that's the drastic step that you have to take. I want you to be aware of how you're spending your time. Because if you're spending 3 to 4 hours a day watching television, what are you doing to your mind, to your body, and to your success? If you're watching television that much a day, there's so many other things that you're probably not doing towards building your dream, your happiness. And think for a moment about the messages that commercial television sends. You're not pretty enough. You're not thin enough. You're not healthy enough. You're not strong enough. You're not manly enough. You're not feminine enough. The entire premise of commercial television is to make you not good enough so you buy other people's products to hopefully make you better. But you will never, ever live up to the Photoshop, touched up world that you see on television. I totally get wanting to unwind at the end of a particularly stressful day and just tuning out and watching television, or, well, not television in my case, but movies, and being carried away to another world. I have my degree in theater. I am all about experiencing other worlds, and there is some benefit to experiencing something that you would never ever be able to experience any other way than through the medium of television, through somebody else's experience, through the suspension of disbelief and entering that person's world. But are you giving up living so that you can experience other people's worlds? Are you giving up living your own life so you can live somebody else's life on television? Television news has absolutely got to be one of the worst things that you can watch. I remember my grandmother used to watch the 10 o'clock news before she would go to bed. And I think about that now and I think, what a horrible thing to do to yourself. News programs are so negative, so depressing. They occasionally will give you a positive story, but most of the time it's all what's going wrong with the world. And you're programming yourself for that negativity, that depression right before you go to sleep. Sleep is supposed to be restorative, and here you are programming yourself with something negative right before you go to sleep. So please don't do that. Another thing with the news is that, how do you know that it's really true? The news media only tells you what they want you to know. And quite often the advertisers, the big companies, are paying the checks for those news broadcasters to even exist. So a lot of it is propaganda, telling you what the big companies, what the government, whoever, telling you only what they want you to know and not necessarily the whole story. So if you really want to be in touch with what's going on in the world around you, please look at many different sources. There are some excellent sources for alternative news on the internet that give you a way fuller picture of what's going on than the 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock news report. I understand the value of unwinding at the end of a particularly stressful day by watching a movie, by escaping into another reality for a little while and putting mine aside. But realize, understand that that is what you're doing. Make the conscious choice that, you know what, I need a break from my own reality right now, so I'm going to go experience somebody else's. Don't do it just out of habit, because you really are turning your brain off when you turn the screen on. You're passively experiencing something, passively tuning out the world around you, turning out nature, turning out the reality of your own life in order to experience that other life. So if you do that, do it consciously and not just as something that is a habit or because everybody else is watching this program on television and you want to know what's going on. I will tell you that I haven't watched a TV show in years, except for maybe once or twice at a hotel room. And I get along in the world just fine. I don't really miss, every once in a while, yeah, it'd be kind of nice to watch a show. But there are other ways that I find to get my entertainment, and better ways I find to refill my cup than tuning out in front of the television. There have been studies done with small children who are put in front of a television as kind of a babysitter. And I admit, I've done it myself. There were times where I just needed a break. Here, watch TV. What happens in a small child's brain when they're watching television, however, is that the pictures are moving so quickly that the child can't focus on any one thing. So they get no point of reference to whether this is safe or not. So they're watching it, and their brain is constantly putting up a fear response. Is this safe? Is this safe? Is this safe? And there's no image that lasts long enough for them to get a real idea of whether or not that what they are seeing is safe. So they're constantly in a fear mode in their brain. And when you are in a fear mode, you cannot learn, you cannot evolve, you cannot grow. So that's another thing to keep in mind when you turn on the television. Yes, you probably logically know that this is safe, but at some level, it's triggering a fear response in your brain and shutting down your higher mental functions. So for the next week, I want you to give some attention to how much time you're spending watching TV. Think about what else you could be doing with that time. Think about other things that you enjoy doing that would help you unwind and fill your cup better than zoning out in front of the television. Think about other things you could be doing that will be moving you forwards to achieving your goal much better than spending a third to a quarter of your waking hours tuned out. Have a wonderful and blessed week.